Hello everyone, welcome to today's session of solving reading comprehension. We already did a comprehension, remember the Pandit and the wife necklace solving, that comprehension we did the last time, and today I am there with a new session with a new comprehension for you to solve, and it's an easy one again. And so let us start our solving without further delay. It is projected in front of you in your screen, the passage is there. So just stop the recording, read the passage, see it in the PDF, there are 5 questions, and see them, and then we will solve it. Okay. So I hope you have finished looking at the passage and the questions. Let us quickly solve them together. Alright, so here. Now we talk about Pablo Picasso. Pablo Picasso is a very famous painter, if you've heard about him. So Pablo Picasso showed his truly exceptional talent from a very young age. So he was very talented right from a young age, very small child, and he was very talented. His first word was lapis, which was Spanish for pencil. Now, normally a child says, na, mama, papa, and all those things. But this guy, ever since he was a child, and he was a famous painter, you know. So, ever since he was a very small baby, the first word he said was pencil. That was lapis. So, he spoke Spanish, mother tongue was Spanish. And he, instead of calling mama, papa, his first word that he said was lapis, which is pencil. And he learned to draw before he could talk. So we know what talent he had. He was the only son in the family and he was good looking. So now here, this is about, this is old times now. So like in India also, sons and daughters, sons were given preference in earlier times. Nowadays, we are all equal. But in earlier times, sons were given preference. So in all the societies, the men were given more preference. So he was the only son in the family. Only son, okay. Only boy, and he was also very good looking. So very good looking and only child. So double positives he had. And so everybody loved him very much. And therefore he was very spoilt. So how do you say this child is a very spoiled child? You say this child is a very spoiled child. Why? Because everybody loves him so much that they have spoiled him. Hai na? So we say like that, he is a very spoiled child, but everybody loves him so much. So he was loved by everybody, and so he was a very spoiled child, right? And he hated school and often refused to go unless his doting meaning loving parents, allowed him to take one of his father's pet pigeons with him. So he would only go to school when he was allowed to take one pigeon. Now, normally we don't say, okay, child, you take a bird and you go to school. But he was a spoiled child. Now, everybody loved him very much. So he was very loved by everybody. So he was spoiled. So even going to school, he did not want to go. So obviously he was not a very studious kind of a child, not a very hardworking child, right? He was a very spoiled child. So this first question is right there in front of us. Let us solve it and then we will come back to the passage. Okay. So as a boy, Pablo Picasso was ordinary looking. Oh my God, no. He was very good looking. See, we have written this point also. He was very, very good looking. So he was very good looking. Talented, yes. But ordinary looking, no. So half right, half wrong. Wrong answer. Huh? Loved by one and all. Yes. He was very spoiled. No. So he was loved by everybody. This can be our answer. We keep it on hold. We check the other options. Handsome and studious. He did not want to study. No way. No wanting to study. He did not want to go to school also. No. Just took pigeons and went to school. Did not want to study. Handsome and hard. Obviously not studying, not hardworking. Glamorous and happening. We are not talking about a child who is glamorous and all. Not mentioned in the passage. Irrelevant option. So we go with this option, loved by one and all, because he was spoiled. How do you find that he was spoiled? Because he was loved. Because he took pigeons and all of them. So obviously he was loved by everybody and he was a spoiled child. So option number 2. This was an inferential question. Spoiled child is given. You have to infer that he was loved by everybody before, and that's why he was spoiled, right? And why was he spoiled? Because he was good looking and the only boy in the family. Only single boy in the family, good looking boy, everybody loved him and he became spoiled, right? So this is the story here. Okay. Then apart from pigeons, his great love was art. And when 1891, his father, who was an amateur artist, amateur means he did it as a hobby. He was a painter just out of a hobby. but later on he became a professional painter. So his father started, going to college and teaching painting. So got a job as a drawing teacher at a college. Pablo went with him to the college. He used to go with his father to the college. He often watched his father paint and sometimes was allowed to help. So only sometimes he helped his father. One evening, his father was painting a picture of the pigeons when he had to leave the room. He returned to find that Pablo had completed the picture, and it was so amazingly beautiful and lifelike that he gave his son his own palette and brushes. Palette is the tray on which you put the colors. So the color tray is the palette, and gave his brushes and never painted again. Pablo was just 13. So when he was 13 years old, he did such a good painting that his father had left unfinished, that his father was so impressed. He says, you take my colors and brushes and you are a great painter. So he was very impressed. Okay. So let us see the other questions. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm just deleting all of these things that we had written, and let's move to the questions. So he was spoilt because now see here, spoilt because he was the only son in the family and he was good looking, so he was spoilt. We have our answer right here. He was the only son in the family and he was good looking, so he was spoilt. So when we go to this question here, then let us look at this. He was spoilt because he was not smart. He was loved. That is why this is the spoiling thing. He was the only son, and the reason why he was loved was because he was the son. Spoilt because he was loved. How was he spoilt? Was because he was loved. But why was he spoilt? Why? Why did everybody love him? They loved him. See, because of loving, he was spoilt. Okay. Why did they love him? Because he was the only boy and he was good looking. So here many people can get confused by loved by one and all. No. Loved by one and all was due to the spoiling happened because of that. Why was he loved is the question. He was loved because he was good looking and the only boy in the family, only son in the family. If it good looking option was also there, we would mark that one also. Surrounded by notorious means very naughty boys. No, this is not. Money, power and all not mentioned. So here we will go with this one. Okay, Pablo went to school when he was allowed to take that pigeon. Mental answer we have pigeon. So pigeon is not mentioned, but the pet is mentioned. He was allowed to carry a pet with him. Father accompanied him. No, father did not go to school with him. He was allowed to paint at school. No, he was allowed to take the pigeon with him. Carry a new school bag, not mentioned. Okay, so pigeon thing. Pigeon, we can say pet. Okay, when his father painted in the college, he sometimes helped him. Sometimes the word is occasionally. Invariably means without option, always. Always did not help, always two options. Invariably also means without option, you always. Invariably I am teaching you means I have no option but to teach you. Invariably you have to study means you have no option but to study. Here he had the option. So invariably is wrong, always is wrong, rarely means very few times. Never is wrong. Sometimes was allowed to help. So sometimes the word is occasionally. And Pablo's father gave up painting because not that he did not like his job, he was very impressed. So option number 3. He was really impressed with his son's talent. And since he was impressed by his son's talent, he was wanting to, he really was impressed by his son's talent and therefore he left his painting. Okay, so here we will go with this one, that he was impressed by his son's talent. So this one occasionally helped him and he was allowed to carry a pet pigeon with him and he was only son in the family. And here, now if there is a confusion, like many people get confused with this one, occasionally, hai na? So let us look at this one also here. I will just show you here. this one. He often watched his father and sometimes was allowed to help. Sometimes allowed to help, right? Sometimes allowed to help. Occasionally helped him. That is why we are going with this one. Occasionally helped. Okay. So this was the passage and this was an easy one, not a difficult one. So I will come back again with a new session of comprehension. Until then, I hope you have started doing your solving and solving questions. So please do solve and see whether you're getting your answers right or not. If you're having problems in particular topics, make sure that you read about those topics before you solve. So this is all for today. I'll see you very soon with a new comprehension passage. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.